with passion and distinction and real heart. And I watched him get things done that mattered to millions of people. And especially for those of us who live here in the Hudson Valley, we know his legacy. And of course, we lost him not long ago. I'm so honored to be joined by his daughter, Michelle, by his wife, Eileen. And I'm thrilled to have my friend Sue Serino here as well, as we announce legislation that would honor Congressman Hinchey by renaming the Hudson Valley National Heritage Area in his honor. There was nothing more important to Congressman Hinchey than the preservation and celebration of this extraordinary natural area we all live in, called the Hudson River Valley. And this natural heritage area, which he created, extends from Saratoga Springs in the north all the way down to the city. And it encompasses hundreds of little communities and areas, all of whom depend on its health and vitality for their welfare. And it's wonderful to be here at Locust Grove to make this announcement, because you can really appreciate the area from Locust Grove, and the history of this site speaks so much to why the heritage area matters, because it's in addition to the millions of people who call it home, it is home to some of the most important historic locations in our country, from Hyde Park to the Vanderbilt Mansion to West Point, to Washington's headquarters in Newburgh, and so many others. And Congressman Hinchey recognized this, and he also had a real passion for the natural area in its natural state. Long before human beings made our mark on it, God created here an extraordinary natural area. And when he came to Congress, and before, when he was in the state legislature, it was not in great shape. And it was showing the signs of years of neglect and pollution and degradation. And I think it's fair to say that we, the residents of the area, had taken it for granted for a long time. And without the extraordinary actions of leaders like Maurice Hinchey, the Hudson River would not be what it is today, a river on the mend, where we're cleaning up PCBs, where we take seriously managing our natural resources, and having a plan to sustain those resources, even as we use the river for commerce and for recreation and for so many other things. And it was really his vision to create this natural heritage area that coordinated all these efforts and brought them under the stewardship of the Greenway, so that the Hudson River will be a legacy for our kids and our grandkids for generations to come. You know, there's an old saying, a Native American saying, that you don't inherit the land from your ancestors, you borrow it from your children. And that is the attitude we have to have, I think, with the Hudson River. And so if renaming it after Maurice Hinchey reminds us that we all have work to do to finish his work, to finish the job of cleaning up the PCBs, to make sure that we are serious about a sustainable future for the river, in going after ill-guided proposals like the Anchorage proposal, which I'm sure he would have hated, and which so many of us worked to kill. And yet working with the Coast Guard in a way that addresses the legitimate safety issues, but puts the river and the people who depend on it at the center of that decision-making. That's the legacy of Maurice Hinchey. And I hope that by renaming the heritage area in his honor, we put his priorities and his passion up front as we continue to do the work we have to do to preserve this extraordinary natural treasure. And that's what the bill does. I'm delighted that I've got a Republican co-sponsor in Congressman Pete King from Long Island. Congressman King and Congressman Hinchey went to Congress in the same year, in 1992. And they knew each other and they served together. So I went to Pete and I said, will you do this with me? It'll make it easier to get it passed, and it should be bipartisan, and I'm thrilled that he's on it. I think you'll see that we'll get other bipartisan members of Congress together to support this legislation. You know, I should also mention that Congressman Hinchey worked closely with another congressman from our area, Ben Gilman, on the heritage area. Congressman Gilman was an original co-sponsor of that legislation, and so it's also fitting that later today I'm going to Middletown to New York to introduce legislation to honor Congressman Gilman as well by renaming the post office there after him. You know, we lost both Ben Gilman and Maurice Hinchey within a few months of each other, and just the way they work together in Congress, we should work together to honor their legacy. And let's hope it serves as an example to all of us today who need to work together and get things done. So I want to turn the podium over to Michelle, who has a few things to say about her dad.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Maloney, for your incredibly kind words. I know my father deeply respected your innovative leadership and continuing his legacy. Thank you. And thank you, Dutchess County Executive Mark Molinaro and Mayor Rob Rollison for your commitment to this naming, along with Scott Keller, the acting director of the Hudson River National Heritage Area, and Senator Serino. It means so much to me and my family to be honoring my father in such a powerful way. I'd also like to thank some people who worked tirelessly on the creation of this monumentous project. Chris Author, who wrote the law, Paul Brotherton, Mike Iger, and Annie Georges, my father's legislative staff and caretakers of the project, to make sure it continued to receive funding. Also Barney McHenry, chair of the Greenway, Joan Davidson, Bob Elliott, Colonel Jim Johnson, and Wynn Aldrich. Without your commitment and foresight, none of us would be here today. Over a public service career that spanned 4 decades, my father fought tirelessly to preserve our green spaces and historic heritage, launching the state's first urban cultural parks program and successfully sponsoring the once controversial but now enormously successful Hudson Valley Greenway. He also provided early, crucial support for the creation of the walkway over the Hudson, all of which have expanded to become powerful economic engines for our region. My father lived with a profound love of the Hudson Valley and the Hudson River. He would often clear his mind by going for long walks in the woods behind our house, or more pointedly, he'd sometimes disappear for hours, only to be found sitting in his car overlooking the Hudson, thinking of ways to make our area stronger. He'd often remarked with his hand outstretched on the beauty of the river or the majesty of the mountains. It was never lost on him how lucky we were to be living in such a beautiful place, surrounded by such rich history. Throughout countless outings, he instilled in me a deep love of our environment and a clear understanding of the importance of protecting our unique cultural heritage in the Hudson Valley. He believed strongly in education, in teaching our young people about the Hudson Valley's great significance in the birth of our nation, and how each new generation can and should make their own lasting contributions so that our great heritage can remain vibrant and growing for decades to come. Which is why, in 1996, he fought to form the Hudson River Valley National Heritage Area, which I know is one of his proudest achievements. This heritage area is a landscape that so clearly defines America. It speaks to the soul of our country, protecting waterways that our forefathers traveled, national monuments showcasing the historic and sometimes forgotten importance of the Hudson Valley, creating engines that drive thriving businesses, artistic enclaves reminiscent of the Hudson River School of Painters, and communities where people want to raise their families. So thank you everyone who helped make this extraordinary project a reality. Naming it the Maurice Hinchey Hudson River Valley National Heritage Area is such an incredible honor for my family and my father. And thank you again, Congressman Maloney, for your constant support, your dedication to bettering life for the people of the Hudson Valley, and for this wonderful recognition of my father's tireless work championing the Hudson Valley and the heritage area. I know that if he were here today, he would be incredibly humbled and sincerely proud. Thank you.
Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't know why Maurice has to be the last Hinchey in Congress. This would keep your eye on this person. She would be a terrific member of Congress. But thank you for speaking so beautifully about your dad and about what we're trying to do today. I also want to introduce Senator Serino, who does so many things every day for this area, and ask her to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Congressman, and thank you, Michelle. That was such a beautiful tribute to your father. Really, so nice. So thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here today. The Hudson River and our area's natural resources are some of our greatest assets, and we have a duty to protect and preserve them. Congressman Hinchey made the preservation of our environment a priority throughout his career in public service, and his dedication to that cause has played a direct role in helping to preserve so much of what makes our area great. Today, I am proud to join with members of our community to honor that work and to help build on that legacy by reaffirming our commitment to protecting or preserving our natural environment so that it can be enjoyed for generations to come. And thank you, Eileen, too, for being here today. A beautiful tribute. And thank you, Congressman.
Thanks, Sue. Very sweet. And that's it. Any questions? Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.